Welcome back to Quacks Chats, a Bearded Steve podcast, episode 10, double digits. Who would have thought? That we got to double digits? Today's episode is called Music That Saved Me, and honestly, it's special, not because I'm about to drop the world's best playlist, but because it's the story of how sound has followed me through each stage of life. From cushion wig concerts at my nan's to long night shifts with headphones blasting drum and bass. So whether you're on lunch, on a bus, or just avoiding your boss for half hour or so, thanks for being here. Roll the intro!
Hear the laughs, feel the chat, story spinning, imagine that. Life games and a little sass. Quacks and Chats, a Bearded Steve podcast. Bearded Steve podcast.
So I grew up in a house that always had music playing, not loudly, just always there. Mum wasn't a singer, bless her. You don't want to hear her sing. She'll tell you that herself. But she had have something on whilst sorting the house out, like Bon Jovi, Phil Collins, bit of Christina Aguilera, Genie in a Bottle. Oh, proper dad rock and pop mix. You'd hear the Hoover, the washing machine, and Living on a Prayer all at once. And that was just home. My older sister was the complete opposite. Pure early 2000s pop concert. Britney Spears, S Club 7, Beyonce, Destiny's Child, all of them. Blasting through the walls. Hair straightness sizzling in rhythm. If her door was shut, you could still feel the bass through the hallway. She owned those singing to a hairbrush moments. You know, the ones that you would catch your sibling singing into the hairbrush and you'd be like, ah. Yeah, that was my sister, my older sister. Dad, meanwhile, was a time traveller stuck in 1965, because that's when his playlist stopped. Johnny Cash, Elvis, Buddy Holly, the Beatles, and always a bit of country. If it had storytelling and a twang, Dad was in. You know those vinyl cracks as well? Yeah, that was my dad's music and still is. He loved songs that meant something. Then you had me. I had a Discman, so a little thing that carried your CD and you could play music through it. A CD player sort of thing. In my hand, making sure you didn't jolt it or make it jump or skip. Blasting Busted's Year 3000 in my ear. In my ears. I remember a hospital visit when my mum was pregnant with my younger brother and sat on a chair grooving to Busted, and the midwife asked me what I was listening to, and with the biggest smile on my face I went, Busted, Year 3000. So yeah, 4 completely different sounds in one house. Mum's background bangers, my sister's pop takeover, Dad's nostalgia trip, and my little pop punk rock head running round. That was the soundtrack of my childhood. Constant, comforting chaos. But yeah, my first real connection after, even before Busted, was my first performance happened at Nan's. I was maybe like 2 or 3 years old, small enough to get away with absolute nonsense. Nan had this old sofa with zip-up cushions on the armrest, like, yeah, real old sofa. And whenever the Witch Doctor came on, know the song that ooh ee ooh ah ah, that was it. Showtime. I'd unzip the cushions, stick it on my head like it's a wig, and transform. Full performance mode, dancing, clapping, shouting the words completely wrong. A living room crowd of family members laughing and cheering me on like I was headlining Glastonbury. I've seen pictures. And I'll need to try and find them, of the cushion halfway off my head, arms in the air, eyes closed, like I meant every single Walla Walla Bing Bang. And honestly, that's probably where it all began. The love for sound, for laughter, for connection. And that was the first time I realised that music can really make people feel something. It could lift a room. Not that my little 2-year-old brain could compute that, and just loved the song at the time. But yeah, that little moment at Nan's is the purest version of me, a kid performing with no fear, no filter, and no idea what it meant, just knowing it felt good and felt right, and it was a good laugh. Then came the teenage years, when everything feels huge, confusing, and impossible to explain. For me, that era sounded like Imagine Dragons and George Ezra, hopeful, big, and cinematic, but underneath it, something darker had started creeping in. I didn't know the word depression yet, but those songs became little lifelines. There's something about walking to school, staring at the passing cars, pretending you're in a music video while Demons plays, that just makes you feel seen, you know? And I never realised that when I was getting bullied, I was able to put music in, and it was always Imagine Dragons. So, imagine dragging these balls on you. No, I'm sorry. Jeez. But, yeah, having that and listening to that, and then things got louder. I cranked the volume up even more, and that's when Skrillex and EDM took over. Music that was just pure noise, pure chaos. It didn't heal anything, but it drowned out the stuff that I didn't want to face. The music became armour, and every beat was another layer between me and the world. And yet, somehow, even screaming a bangarang even helped. Because music was that one constant. Even when I didn't want to talk, I could still listen. It was survival, even though I didn't know it just yet. After the fresh face, the acne, and everything like that, it became the fresh air years, as I'm now calling it. The ones that smelled like rain, smoke, and cheap instant coffee in a dented flask. I'd landed myself a job as an outdoor instructor, and for the first time in a long time, I felt free. Days started with fog humming the trees, and then ended with laughter bouncing off those trees. The world felt big again, wide skies, muddy boots, and kind of tired that actually feels good. Every morning, I'd put on damp waterproofs, tie up my boots, and think, yeah, this'll do it. The playlist changed too, so Bastille started coming in, Alt J, Rusted Roots, and George Ezra was still there. But it seemed lighter this time round, and all this indie folk stuff just fit the landscape. The music there wasn't to fill the silence anymore, it became part of it. It blended the wind, the rope squeaks, and the splash of canoes on the lake. The days had rhythm, boots crunching on gravel, wind through ropes, kids shouting across fields, laughter echoing down trails, and music weaving through like it's an invisible thread. Even turned songs into part of the job. One of the favourites was "In the Air Tonight" by Phil Collins. You know the one, Gorilla Suit. Yeah, that one. We would play it just before the activity and teaching kids how to do the air drum. The amount of times we used to get blue barrels and push them and just like bum 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 bum. Yeah, it would be great, and then that would set the week off perfect. So people start hitting logs, helmets, paddles together, anything they could find, just vibing, doing that drum fill. And that moment before they launched off the wall or took their first zip line run, you could see it, pure adrenaline, pure joy. Phil Collins has no idea who I am, but he probably has no idea his song was powering a bunch of muddy kids up in the middle of nowhere. Then there were the Alt J evenings, where kids had gone to bed, stars come out, we'd all crash around the campfire, letting breeze blocks or tarot hum softly through a tiny speaker. No shouting, no chaos, just quiet chills, flames flickering, and the crackle matching the beat. It felt like breathing for the first time in years. And without fail, on a day off, someone would say, right, send me on my way on, or mooey. So we were like, 20 other staff, 20-something staff, huddled around a fire, beers in hand, half of us singing off key, everyone grinning, singing, I would like to reach out my hand. That's what we get, because I don't want to get a copyright strike. For that little while, life was simple. That job taught me how to slow down, how to breathe, and how to find silence that didn't scare me. You can't hide from yourself when you're standing in the middle of nowhere. You meet every version of who you've been, and if you're lucky, you start to like that person again. The outdoors stripped everything back. No phones, no endless scrolling, no pretending. Just laughter, smoke, stars, and songs that matched the heartbeat of the hills. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't a movie moment, it was quiet. But in that quiet, something started to mend. That was the beginning of the healing. After those outdoor years, life was good, or at least it looked like it was from the outside. I'd learnt how to breathe again, how to laugh without forcing it. Then a relationship I'd built my world around just ended. No explosions, no screaming matches, just a slow kind of heartbreak that seeps into everything. At first, I told everyone I was fine. The usual lines, it's for the best, we just grew apart. Other side of the world, it's okay. But inside, I was falling apart in silence. You know when your body keeps moving, but your mind feels like it's stuck in quicksand? That was me. Days blurred together. I'd wake up already tired, staring at a ceiling, going through all the motions, work, home, pretend, repeat. I stopped eating properly, stopped sleeping pretty much. Even music, that one thing that helped, just went quiet. My mum noticed, she always does, 9 times out of 10. One morning she came in, she went, Steve, you can't do this, keep doing it, we're going to the doctors. Didn't argue, didn't have the energy to. So we went, the GP asked the usual question, how's work, you sleeping okay, any hobbies, what's going on, and then just went, that's alright, you're just going for a rough patch, keep busy. That line still echoes sometimes, because when you're that low, hearing it's on you feels like you've been told to swim whilst already drowning. I walked out of that office feeling smaller than when I went in, and that night I didn't know what to do, so I reached to what has always been there. Headphones, volume up, Bastille. It was Doom Days had just come out literally that year, so the Hellfelt album resonated, and it was just perfect. It's midnight. Those nights, joy. It wasn't upbeat in the fake way. It was honest about feelings, lost and still daring to hope anyway. I remember lying in bed, lights off, and then when the song came on, we're going to be okay again. I didn't believe it, but I wanted to. And wanting was enough. The amount of times that I've been very, very close and then just have music that stops me. It's crazy. But I started listening every night. Sometimes it made me cry. Sometimes I just stared at the ceiling and let the lyrics wash over me. That music didn't tell me to cheer up. It just sat beside me in the dark. It said, you're not crazy, you're not weak, you're just hurting, and that's okay. Weeks passed like that. I wasn't fixed, but I wasn't gone either. The songs became anchors. They remind me that feeling something, even sadness, meant I was still alive. Eventually small things started creeping back in. A walk, going for a coffee, a laugh that didn't feel forced, and each time I noticed it, like life was turning the volume back up again. Looking back, that whole period feels like a long drawn out bridge in a song. No lyrics, just holding on, waiting for the next verse. And that's what Bastille gave me, the bridge, the space between despair and recovery. That's why and where music truly saved me. Not by fixing anything. Don't get me wrong, it didn't fix anything. But by reminding me that I could survive in silence. That even the word says, It's on you. Music quietly whispers, you're not alone, you're okay. When people say a song saved them, it's easy to think they're exaggerating. I used to think that too, especially when I was younger. But in that moment, in that room with my headphones on, tears on my face, a song literally stopped me from disappearing. That's why this part matters so much, because everything that came after, the noise, the laughter, the streaming and healing, it only exists because of that album, those nights, and the hope hidden inside a 4-minute track. So after the storm, we had an even bigger storm, and it was hospitality, front of house. Yeah, more like frontline. I don't get why they call it front of house. It's more like frontline. The shift lights, the noise, the customers, the pace, it never stops. By the end of every night, I'd feel like I'd been running a marathon with a smile painted on. It was chaos, trays crashing, orders piling up, managers and myself shouting one way, customers waving from the other, all smiles on the outside, pure adrenaline rush. But when the doors finally closed, the music was mine again. And that's when volume fully went through the roof. The era, all screaming music, sweat and mosh pits. Linkin Park, Slipknot, Foo Fighters, Bring Me the Horizon, Nirvana. Songs that didn't disappear how I felt. They screamed it for me. Every chorus was a release valve. It was heavy, angry, messy, and it's what I needed at the time. We'd clock out, dump the aprons, and hit whatever dive bar or tiny venue that was playing live that week. No fake smiles, no small talk, no customer service voice, just noise and freedom. Bodies moving, heads banging, lights strobing. That's where I learned that you can heal in a crowd of strangers. Sometimes it was gigs, sometimes it was a Bluetooth speaker in someone's flat, beer cans on the counter, bass rattling the floorboards. We'd yell lyrics until our throats hurt, laugh about the shift that nearly broke us, and for a few hours, life didn't feel so heavy. Those nights were chaos therapy. The amount of times I've been hit and punched in a mosh pit. But I love it, and I'll do it again. The music matched the madness, loud enough to drown out the burnout, wild enough to make you forget how tired you were. Hospitality was exhausting, but it was also alive. It was a sound of release. It taught me that sometimes you don't need to be calm. You just need to scream along until you've got nothing left. That was pure survival, mosh pit style. Love it. So yeah, whilst the chaos of hospitality was going on, I still needed noise, but now I got to choose it. Lockdown hit, shifts slowed, and suddenly the world went quiet again. So I built my own kind of chaos. I hit go live. The first stream was a shambles. Alerts too loud, countdown music looping forever, me talking a mile a minute. Like this podcast. But it felt electric. When the chat started joining in, I realised something. It's a new version of those campfire nights. The mosh pit energy, the outdoor calm, the laughter, they'd all found a new home on Twitch and TikTok. The playlist became total madness in the best way. 1 minute Slipknot or Foo Fighters to wake the room up. The next minute, Alt J, Bastille, some 90s cheese. Then I'd throw a bit of 8-bit beats and lo-fi loops, because a bit of George and then maybe a bit of George Ezra just to confuse people. If it stopped being about what ifs and turned into what feels. If it matched the mood, chaotic, chill, nostalgic, it went in. Honestly, my stream playlist is everywhere, and I've just got to say thanks to you guys for building it, because the stream playlist is great. And I've only put like 3 songs on, and the rest have been built by pure community, and that's great. So every alert ping, every retro loop, every background track felt like proof that music wasn't about a genre anymore. It was a collage, every era of my life stitched together. Streaming made that noise social. So instead of drowning things out, I was sharing the soundtrack live. People vibed, sent song links, joked about my taste and how bad it was, and that the playlist was having an identity crisis. They weren't wrong, but for the first time, that mix made sense, because that's who I am now. A mashup of mosh-pit chaos, alt-J chill, and of course Bastille, and a bit of 8-bit hope. Every sound, every mood, all part of the same story. When the stream ends and the lights go dark, there's always still a soft hum in my head, the kind that says, you built this noise yourself. And this time, it's good noise, it's community, it's home. And after all that noise, all the silence, all the breakdowns and rebuilds, life finally found a rhythm that fits. Support work came along, and with it, a new kind of soundtrack. No set playlist, no strict vibe, just whatever the day needs. Morning drives and morning commutes with calm indie or lo-fi. Coffee in one hand, sun coming up over the rooftops. Midday might be a bit of Bastille, a bit of George Ezra humming through car speakers or in a resident's room. And then when the shift's done, the volume creeps up. Foo Fighters, Linkin Park, maybe Alt J if I need to breathe, and then maybe Slipknot if the day's been rough. There's no order anymore, and I like it that way. The same playlist can go from Rusted Roots to Bastille, from 8-bit to Phil Collins, and somehow it all makes sense. It's a sound of everything I've been through: hope, heartbreak, chaos, peace, all playing in one long shuffle. Support work taught me empathy in a different key. You walk into other people's lives for a few hours, music becomes a bridge again. Sometimes I have the radio on low while being between calls, and a song will hit that reminds me of a place, a person, or a version of me that's still somewhere out there. I smile now instead of flinching. This stage of life isn't about being fixed, it's about being whole. Every scream, every lyric, every note has a place, and I don't separate them anymore. They're all just me. If the outdoor years were about me finding freedom and the Bastille era was about surviving, this one is about belonging. Belonging in the noise, in the quiet, and in a mix of songs that save me in different ways. So yeah, support Work Life 2025. One massive playlist, no skips, all replays, playing through the night.
Quacks and Chats, a bearded Steve podcast.
Right, enough about me. Now into the gaming news. 5 stories, 1 overloaded news feed came my way. So Pokemon Legends Z to A launched worldwide October 16th on both Switch and Switch 2. Set in Lumios City, real-time battles and mega evolutions are back. Expect every streamer on Earth to be running around catching things they can't pronounce. Probably catch me doing the exact same. Phasmophobia, we haven't played it in a while, but they've brought out a new event, Crimson Eye. So Kinetic Games dropped the Crimson Eye mini update. Not a big patch, but it brings new ghost behaviour tweaks, extra scare animations, and a few bug fixes. Basically, smaller ghost, bigger screams, even bigger Steve crying. Oblivion Remastered Deluxe Edition. Woo! The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered Physical Deluxe set launched on October the 13th for PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. Comes with an art book and soundtrack perfect if you want to feel nostalgic and broke at the same time. King of the Meat launches. The co-op platformer King of Meat released this week across PC and consoles. Think Overcooked Energy, but someone's made it of ham. About ham. It's chaotic as it sounds, and it's great. I might have to actually go play it. And Xbox release 30 new titles this October with Keeper, Blood West, and NASCAR 25. Do you know what? I might actually play NASCAR 25. Well, basically, good luck choosing what to ignore first, apart from NASCAR, because we want to give it a try.
Quacks and Chats, a bearded Steve podcast.
And it's funny news time, and we've got some corkers. 3 of them, to be exact. First up, a woman in the US has officially won the charity shop lottery. She picked up a pair of earrings for $6.99 pre-tax, but that's about £5.24. Gave them a quick clean and decided to get them appraised. Turns out, real gemstones, worth $4,600 or £3,400. Imagine walking out thinking, nice bargain, realising you basically bought a second-hand car worth of sparkle for £5. Whoa. Someone out there, someone's regretting that donation, and she's probably portioning them off whilst humming "Shine Bright Like a Diamond." While people are discovering treasure, other are decaying in style. Over in Mexico City, thousands have took to the street for the annual zombie walk. Whole families, kids, grandparents, the lot, all dressed as the undead, shuffling through the capital like it's the Last of Us Fiesta edition. The part charity event, part chaos, and I just know that there's at least one tourist who generally thought up that they woke up in the apocalypse. Like, imagine waking up and seeing a load of zombies. Scary. Honestly, between diamonds and zombies, the world's looking more like a crossover episode each week. And then, speaking of creatures that refuse to die, police in Derbyshire had quite the shock when someone reported a crocodile floating in a canal. They posted that they called the strangest appeal ever on Facebook, asking locals for information about this mystery reptile. A day later, mystery solved. Turns out, it wasn't a crocodile at all. It was just a stuffed taxidermy one. Filled with hay, accidentally caught by a fisherman. As the police summed it up, more fluff than fear. Which, if we're honest, sounds like most of us before a cup of coffee in the morning. And that's it. Weekly dose of nonsense for the week. From charity bling to zombies and stuffed crocs. The world keeps delivering, and we are all here for it.
Quacks and Chats, a bearded Steve podcast.
And before we go, it's our favourite part, Community Corner! Woo! The part of the show where you lot take over, straight from Discord and DMs. This week, I asked for your go-to pick-me-up song, and the one you sing in the shower, and your rage song for when everything's gone sideways. So yeah, in the Discord, Chels, absolute legend, jumped in straight away, saying, not a song, but love singing Meghan Trainor in the shower. I mean, fair play, absolute power move. Instant serotonin, all about that bass, and probably the only way to make Monday mornings tolerable. Then, Tom Crispy Panda followed up with Life is a Highway as his shower anthem. Solid choice, bonus points if he's using the shampoo bottle as a mic. And his rage song is I Write Sins, Not Tragedies. Peak emo, pure nostalgia, and exactly the kind of chaos that I expect from our Discord lot. It's carnage over there. And in my DMs, someone dropped in saying Believer is their song to go to. Fitting after this week's topic, and hopefully, honestly, not hopefully, a great reminder that volume sometimes counts as therapy. But yeah, massive thanks to everyone who got involved this week. If you want to feature next time, hop into the Discord or drop me a DM. Next week's question, if you could live in any video game for 1 week, where would you go? I'm calling it now. Someone's going to pick Skyrim just to shout at villagers. 100%. And that wraps up episode 10, Music That Saved Me. From sofa-wig concerts at Nan's, to muddy campfires, to mosh-pit chaos, and a bit of 8-bit beats. Every stage has had a song, and somehow they all led here. If this episode made you smile, or made you dig out an old playlist, do me a favour, drop a rating, share it with a mate, and come hang out after 6 over on Twitch and TikTok, and it's the Bearded Steve, where the soundtrack never really stops. Big thank you to everyone who got involved this week, the Discord, the DMs, the shower singers, the rage screamers. You're what keeps this whole thing alive. Next Monday, we're getting real with episode 11, conversations that I never had and wish I did. It's one I've wanted to do for a long time. Till then, keep your playlist loud, your ducks happy, and remember, music doesn't fix everything, but it helps us survive it. You've been listening to Quacks and Chats, a Bearded Steve podcast. Good. Bye.
Thanks for watching Quacks and Chats with the Bearded Steve. A Bearded Steve podcast.